Now I'm going to show you how to place in soldier course borders in this image. First of all, you have to draw in your soldier course border. So again, we'll go to the drawing tools, and keep in mind when you're drawing in soldier course borders, or any kind of border for that fact, you have to draw in the perspective also. So what I mean is, I want borders to go along the side of this driveway. I've drawn in my first line. My border is going to come out to about here, and I'm going to bring it up to here. Now you see it's wider at the bottom and it would be narrower at the top. So we'll click those 2 points and we've added that one area. Now when you're doing borders on the left and right side of the driveway, you can draw them both in at the same time. So let's go over here and draw this one in, meaning because the perspective will be the same in them, you can draw them in as one unit even though they're not touching, and then edit them as the same unit, meaning you can change them to different colors and stuff. That one's a little too fat, so I'm going to change that. It's a little bit harder when half of the driveway is off the screen, but once you've got it set, and of course you can come back in and edit these points. We'll go into the library, and again, let's move my library out of my way, and we want to go to patterns, and we'll scroll down here to soldier course, and now we have the different patterns and colors. Now you notice in soldier course there are 2 of every color. Let's go back down here. So let's see, in this cappuccino pewter, we've got it going across, which is a V, which stands for vertical, and you're thinking, well, those are horizontal lines, why is it a V? That's because you would use it in a vertical axis. If you have things going up the screen, you want the lines going across, and vice versa, which you'll see when we put them at the bottom. We're going horizontally, but the lines are going vertically. Might be a little confusing in the beginning, but just look at which way they're going, and you want them going across this way. So we'll click on that, and now we've placed the borders in. Now again, they don't look too realistic because I need to adjust the perspective. So let's bring these handles in like we did on the driveway. They're still a little fat, so we want to scale them down. And now we've sized the borders in there. So once you have a border set, again, you can change them to different colors or different types by clicking on Show Library and just picking a different color. Until you find something that you like. So I'm going to do that. Now I'd like to place in a border along the bottom of the driveway. So again, I need to define the area. And again, you want to consider perspective. And because this driveway is not really going straight across the screen, we'll have to cut it off over here. I'm going to zoom out so I can draw on the edge here. And zoom back in by pressing F10. Scroll down so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, now I want to place in the border going down here. So again, I go back into the library, and I had set save as default soldier course, so I don't have to go back and change that. And now we want the soldier course to be going in this direction, so we want to use the H version. So you can see now they're going up. And again, you want to adjust the perspective by grabbing the perspective handles and moving those in. Again, we're working off the screen here because sometimes that is a little more difficult. So now we have the borders going in the direction we want. We're pretty much done. We'll click OK. Now before we move on to start placing objects in the image, I want to teach you about texture groups. Now remember, I could have drawn the driveway, this walkway, and this walkway over here as one piece, so they'd all be joined together, or I can draw them separately. The choice is yours. But if you do draw them separately and then you want to change them all at one time, you will need to create them as a texture group in order for changing one to have the effect on changing all of them. Let me show you how that works. So I want to change the driveway. So if I click on the driveway area, you must have it selected in order to change it. We'll go up here to the texture library. Let's reset this, and we want to go to the cut ashlar slate, And let's go grab a color here. And I want to change just the driveway. You see the driveway has changed, but the walkways did not because they're not as a group. So if I want to change one that changes all three, I need to create a texture group. And this is how you do that. We'll get out of there. So you have to select all three groups. Now I know from experience if I select this, it'll be hard to select that walkway because the square that's around the driveway is covering it. So I'll select the walkway first, then I hold down the Shift key on the keyboard, select the driveway, and then select this walkway. So now all three of them are selected. I go up here to Area and I click on Create Texture Group. You could use the keyboard shortcut Control G, that would work also. So now you see they've all got the same texture. Now that reverted back to the one it was before because it goes back. They'll have to be the same texture is what's going on. So it went back to the ones of the walkway. So now though, if I go back in here and I want to change it to the cut ashlar slate again, and we'll pick a different color, you see all three of them change to the same pattern. Let's do it again. Let's bring up the library. And you can see they're all changed to the same one. So that's what a texture group does. Now, if you want to disconnect them so they're not a group anymore, you have to have them all selected. You go up here to Area and you click on Remove Texture Group, which I don't want to do at this time. And now before I move on to start placing objects in the image, it's always a good idea to save your work in progress. So somewhere along the line you may get a phone call, have to run off and do something and forget that you didn't save your image, and somebody comes along and closes it. You're not going to be a happy camper. So what you want to do to save your image, and now we want to save it as a work in progress, not as a JPEG or BMP, because we want to be able to go in and change things, which I will explain in more detail later. But trust me, you always want to save it as a work in progress. So you go File, Save As. The work in progress file format is LND, and we're going to change the name here to After. So we know we have Smith House 123 Main Street After image, and we'll click Save. And now the name is reflected up here. So now we have our file saved.